Going to start off with the lowdown where we talk all things Apple. So, on Tuesday, December 13th, which was yesterday, we're actually recording a day early. Um, Apple dropped some new OS software. So we got a new iOS 16.2, an iPad 16.2. We also got a watch OS update as well. But today, again, like I said, this is our last show for the year. We want to kind of keep it brief and hit some of the highlights and go over some of the big new features that took off in iOS 16.2. I'm pretty sure you have, but I have to ask, have you updated, Brother Tech?
Yes, I have.
All right, so let's jump into it. The first big new feature is Freeform. I know when I installed the software and I went to my home screen and I saw this, I'm like, did I download something on my iPad that I didn't realize that is on my iPhone? Because the way my iPhone is set up, I have all folders and everything is in this neat little folder, and I don't just have like stray icons and apps just kind of like hanging out. They're all kind of compressed, neat, and in their little place. So when I saw this, I'm like, what is this? Well, Freeform is a new app, and it's for working creatively with friends or colleagues, whether it be on your laptop, whether it be on your
hmm
iPad or on your iPhone. This gives you a flexible canvas that lets you add files, images, stickies, and more. Drawing tools let you sketch anywhere on the canvas with your fingers. I'm not sure. I know I haven't tried it out. Have you tried it out or opened it up and looked at it?
No, but it's basically a whiteboard that you can share with anybody you want to collaborate with, and you can do it. It used to be originally before this, it was just for iPad and Mac, I think. But then they
Hmm.
brought it to the iPhone to where basically you can start a free form, share with collaborators, and you can just start writing. And there's no limit to the space. You can move it to the, if you need some more space, you can move it to the side, write something else. You can annotate things, you can comment on things, you can comment on other people's things, you can draw notes, you can draw pictures. It's free form. There's
Hmm.
no one way to input. You can text on, like if you're on a phone, you can type stuff using the keyboard. If you're on an iPad with an Apple Pencil, you can use the Apple Pencil and scribble things. If you're on a Mac, you can use the touch screen and write things. So there's no limit to how you collaborate. But basically it's just a giant whiteboard, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Think of a room that's all white with dry erase boards, and the dry erase markers. You just kind of scribble it, right? And it makes sense that they bring this to the iPhone, especially as people are working more, just kind of anywhere, everywhere. If you come up with something, you have an idea, you have a thought of something. It's like, let me jot it down before I forget. So rather than go into, like, for me, if I think of something I want to capture, I usually go to voice memo and say it and capture it and keep moving. This just gives you a way to actually write it down, because some people like writing something physically down. And then again, the collaboration piece, you can kind of invite anybody that you want to come in and work with you, brainstorm on whatever you're working on. All right, the next feature, we talked about this one last week, Sing. And it's basically kind of like karaoke in Apple Music. So it's just a new way to sing along with millions of your favorite songs in Apple Music. It has fully adjustable vocals. It allows you to duet with the artist or sing solo or mix it up. So meaning you have the flexibility to adjust. I saw someone do a video on it.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
open it up, you see the lyrics on the screen normally, and then at the bottom there's this little icon with a microphone. You click
Mm-hmm.
on it, and it has like a little volume bar. You slide
Mm-hmm.
it up if you want to have the full vocals for the other person. You slide it all the way down if you just want the instrumental, and you can put it somewhere in between if you just want to kind of sing along with the
Mm-hmm.
track.
Mm-hmm. So not all music is on there. There was some music that has the functionality and some that doesn't. I'm assuming they're going to expand that as
Right.
normally. And then the other thing is with the what's the word? The
Brain freeze.
words. What's the words?
Lyrics.
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 Good grief! I can come up with the word. With the lyrics, with a lot of karaoke apps, a lot of karaoke services, it doesn't go on beat. With Apple
Mhm.
Music, it's on beat. So as the person singing and as the beat, it does the
Highlights the word.
lyrics, it
Yeah.
highlights the word. It's not doing it randomly, or it's not doing it as a group and you got to read all the words in a group and then it switches down the group. It's actually doing like the karaoke thing. So it makes it a little bit easier if you are not familiar with the words or you can't remember all the words. You know, it does a better job than most that actually sings along, that gives you the ability to trace along so you don't sound all the way crazy.
Yeah, and I saw one of the other things is you can skip ahead in the lyrics. I saw the guy in the video, he just kinda scrolled ahead and just
Hmm.
kinda clicked on lyrics. So it's not if you wanna follow along, if you was like, "That's not my part. I don't wanna sing that part. Let me skip down to my part." You can do that
Hmm.
as well. All right, the next feature, advanced data protection for iCloud. It reads, and these all come from what I'm reading comes from the release notes. New option expands the total number of iCloud data categories protected using end-to-end encryption to 23, including iCloud backup, notes, and photos, protecting your information even in the case of a data breach in the cloud. So basically, if there is, like, I think the biggest thing, because we talked about it last week, data breaches, if there is a data breach that happens in the cloud, your data, your content is still protected end to end.
More importantly, if you forget your passwords or your access or your pins or whatever you need to do to access this data, if you turn this on, you have to designate somebody that can help you get this data back.
Yep.
If you if you turn this on and set everything up and somehow, some way, shape, form, or fashion, you forget your access, you, Apple, Jesus Christ himself cannot
Get you
get
in.
this data back. If you turn it off, or leave it off rather, if you opt out, Apple can kind of help you get some of this data back. Of course, they're going to ask you some additional questions. You probably got to wait a little bit longer. All the regular steps you have to go through in order for Apple to finally say, "Okay, you're legitimate.
It's you.
It's you. Let's help you get your data back." If you
Yep.
turn this on, forget about anybody helping you. If you lose the credentials or the person you designated as somebody to help you is no longer that person, you're screwed. So just
Yeah.
be wary of that if you turn this on.
Yeah. Read the fine print, folks. Read the fine print. All right. Lock screen and always on display got some updates as well. New settings allow you to hide wallpaper or notification when always on display is enabled on iPhone 14 Pro and iPhone 14 Pro Max. Sleep widgets lets you view your most recent sleep data. And medications widgets let you view reminders and quickly access your schedule. So basically giving you a little bit more accessibility to some key components that, if you care about them, they're
Yeah,
there.
and some people were complaining about the lock screen. So what Apple did was specifically with the wallpaper, right? You can set up all these crazy new wallpaper, but
Mm,
if you have a phone that's capable with always on display, I think it's only the iPhone 14s, right?
14, yeah.
It would just not hide, but the always on display would reduce, almost gray it out a little bit. You can still see the wallpaper, you can
Hmm.
still see the clock, but it would be kind of grayed out, minimized. When you touch
Hmm.
the screen, it would light up and it would be in the forefront, right? Some people were complaining that, oh, always on display, it's going to waste the battery, even though Apple said the
It's not.
battery is not enough of a differentiator to where whatever. Some people just wanted to be able to turn off the screen, which I don't know why you wouldn't just turn off always on display, but whatever. So what Apple did was, if the always display is on and you look away, or after the timer, if you set it for 1 minute to lock the screen, it just turns off the wallpaper, but the word, the calendar, the time, and any widgets, well, actually the widgets would go away too. It would just be the time and the calendar would be the only thing that you could see on the screen. And then if you get your attention or you touch the screen or whatever, then the wallpaper would come back. So that's kind of like the main difference, which people was just tripping. I don't see that was a big deal, but
The squeaky wheel gets the oil. And in that case, that's what this was. Okay, updates to AirDrop. AirDrop now automatically reverts to contacts only after 10 minutes to prevent unwanted requests to receive content. So, if you've ever been any place and you wanted to share a photo or you wanted someone to AirDrop a photo or something to you, I keep my contacts only on because I don't
it's so
want anything
dumb.
unwanted.
Why wouldn't you
Yeah,
just do that? What? Who? I'm going to cut you off, but
no,
I did mean to cut you
but you
off.
cut me off.
Why would anybody have it on everyone all the time, especially when there have been stories of people sending all kind of crazy stuff to a group of people in the general vicinity? I don't understand
On
why you wouldn't.
airplanes, people do it all the time.
Right. I don't understand why you wouldn't just leave it off or put it on contacts only. So, like, if you're with your family, with your friends, or whatever, you can share stuff with them and it just worked because it's in the contacts.
Yeah.
But then if you run into somebody that you don't know and they want to airdrop something, just turn it on to
Turn it
everyone,
on.
have them send you the thing, and then turn it back off. I don't understand. It's like you complain, the people not complaining, but it's just almost like people expect not to do any
Anything.
work and expect these services, these apps, these devices, this hardware just to automatically know exactly everything you want to do. And as soon as it doesn't do the one thing that you don't expect it to do, oh, see, that's why I don't mess with so and
That's
so
all
and so and
miss.
so.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like crazy.
The slightest inconvenience. It's like, well, they need to fix that. And it's like, but they have mechanisms in there to
You
prevent
can
this.
go in there
Just
and
use
fix it.
it. But why I gotta fix it? I paid all this money. They should be able to do it for me. No, come on, folks. Come on, folks. All right. So they did highlight some other changes and improvements. We'll just go through this list. And if there's anything you want to call out, please do so. Improved search in messages allows you to find photos based on their content. Like if you're looking for a specific car or a specific text, if you type that in there, it will find it. Um, Turn off hide IP address setting enables iCloud private relay users to temporarily disable the service for a specific site in Safari, meaning if you don't want to put your actual email address in something, um, it gives you the option to
Well,
disable
this
this
is
for a
more
specifically in Safari.
Well, this is more IP address. So, for example, you want to basically it lets you whitelist a IP address. So you can actually disable or enable the ability for a router or a website to see your IP address if you're doing something to where it needs to see your IP address. The way Private Relay works is it hides your IP address, so nobody who is scanning, for lack of a better term, a
Yeah.
router or whatever, they don't see where your IP address is, and the recipient who is, if you're going to a website like google.com, there's an IP address. With Private Relay, Google can't see your IP address, but there may be a reason why you would want them to see your IP address.
Yeah.
So this setting lets you turn it off to where the website or whatever the service you're using can see your IP address.
I.e., it's like a VPN, but it's native to Apple. All right. News articles and weather display information relevant to the weather in that location. So if you're in a specific location, you will see only the information that's relevant to where you are. Participant cursors in notes allow you to see live indicators as other makes changes in a shared notes. Like we use Google Docs for our show notes. Right now, I can see Terrance moving the cursor on something that he's clicking on.
But we really don't
I can
use
see
it
something.
right because
Yeah.
we're both signed in
At
as
the
Snob
the
OS.
same
Now,
user. Yeah.
now, traditionally, if I was signed in as Terrence and Nica was signed in as herself, if she make a change, it would clearly show you Terrence is
Nika's
making the
name.
change.
Yeah.
Right,
At the
right. Well,
cursor, it would
this
have Nika. At the cursor, it would have
right.
Terrace.
So
Yeah.
this is what Apple Notes is now doing. If you share a note with somebody, it can show you the cursor and show visibly show that the other person, whoever you shared the note with, is actually making changes.
Yep. I think we talked about this before as well. Crash detection optimizations on, of course, only the iPhone 14 and iPhone 14 Pro models. We talked about that before, so that's officially rolled in.
Yeah,
And
that's so you're not calling the ambulance on a roller coaster.
right, yeah. But I think some of the, I think to me, the larger thing that I took away from that is that those roller coasters should probably be decommissioned if what they're doing
It's shaking you
simulates
so
a
much,
car accident
or a
to
heart
call
attack.
for help, then yeah, you probably should roll that back and shut that down. That's what I took away from it. But other people took away, uh, you keep calling the ambulance and police when you don't have to. Just shut down the ride because it can't be safe. And finally, this release fixes an issue that causes some notes not to sync with iCloud after updates are made. That's fairly self-explanatory, and it doesn't give specifics. But if you have some issues with notes not syncing, you won't see it anymore. All right. iPad OS 16.2. So there are a couple of features that were in iOS 16.2 that are also on iPad OS 16.2. That includes Freeform, Apple Music, Sing, and the advanced data protection for iCloud. Those three things are across both iPad and iPhone. So here are a couple of things that are specific to iPad OS for this 16.2. Game Center, share play support in Game Center for multiplayer games so that you can play with people you're on a FaceTime call with. So it gives you, again, you can actually see the person you're playing with while you're actually playing the game. Activity widget allows you to see what your friends are playing and achieving in games right from your home screen. So again, if you have a shared game that you're playing with people, I never sign into those because I don't really care. I'm just playing the game for myself. But this gives you, if you care about that, if you're keeping score or trying to best someone or trying to just see what's going on with the game that you're playing together, you have that option now in Game Center. On the Home app, improved reliability and efficiency of communication between your smart home accessories and Apple devices. Okay, I don't really use this in Umbrella Tech. You are the smart home guy. The only
Well,
smart home thing I have are
the
my
hubs.
AirPod, my little minis, my
Yeah,
HomePod minis.
right. So your HomePod minis act as the hub that
Mm-hmm.
all the other devices, if you had them, would communicate with in your home, right? There are
Mm-hmm.
some people who don't have a HomePod mini. There are some people who don't have an Apple TV that is also a hub that can also be a hub for your home kit. Well, an iPad also can be a hub for all your devices. So they're just making the hub, if you're using your iPad as a hub, they're just giving you the same sort of reliability and communication that you and I would get because we're using Apple TVs or we're using HomePods.
Yep. And HomePods did get an update as well to 16.2. I have mine set to automatically update, and I was in there for some reason. I was in the Home app for some reason, and I was like, "Oh, this updated. Okay, cool, great." Stage Manager. Um, we've talked about this before when we did our big talk about the final implementation of Stage Manager, which I don't think we were too impressed with, but that's neither here nor there.
It's
But
okay. It's just okay.
yeah, it wasn't from the announcement when it was originally announced. I was super excited about it, and then the actual implementation was for me a bit of a letdown. I was like, oh, okay. All right. So the updates for this external display support with resolutions of up to 6K are now available on iPad Pro 12.9-inch fifth generation or later, iPad Pro 11-inch, third generation or later, and iPad Air, fifth generation. So basically, you can now use an external display, but only with the most recent
which
iPads.
which is what they had turned off on Stage Manager. You could do all the cool multitasking things, but if you were connecting to an external display, Stage Manager was acting up. So
Mm-hmm.
Apple disabled it, and now they're bringing it back and are saying that they are carrying the external display support. So people who were looking forward to that, they brought it back after they fixed it.
Allegedly. Let us know if you try it out, if it works. Drag and drop files and windows from your compatible device to your connected display and vice versa. Meaning, if I'm on my iPad, I can pick up a file and move it to my Mac and pick up from my Mac and put it on my iPad. Just two examples, but I'm sure iPhone as well. And the last thing, support for using 4 apps in the iPad display and 4 on the external display. Meaning it's now supported. You can have 4 apps on your iPad and you can also have 4 apps on your external display. I'm assuming that was limited before.
Yeah. I don't think it was used at all until they turned it back on.
Yeah. All right, a couple of other quick hit updates that are included, including bug fixes and performance improvements, improved search and messages, which was mentioned in iOS, tracking notifications alert if you have an AirTag that is separated from its owner in a nearby and is nearby and has recently played a chime to indicate it moving. So basically, improved tracking if you're using an AirTag.
Well, just improve tracking notification if you are walking around with an AirTag that ain't yours. Because
So
people,
maybe this is there, but this is only for iPad though. Maybe this is interesting. They have to have
yeah.
this. This has
Oh,
to be
well,
an
I'm pretty
iOS.
sure it's universal.
Yeah, it
Maybe
has
they
to be.
the release probably just highlighted it in the iPad
Maybe an
section.
iPad because
But
it's not something normally that iPad would do.
right.
Maybe, maybe.
And they probably improved it all over the place because they had to, because people were still trying to use AirTags
Yep.
to track people unknowingly. So Apple's like, all right, well, we got to fix it a little bit more. So
Yeah.
now we need to beep and we need to better notifications. We need to put it in the forefront versus it being just something that was kind of playing in the background and you had to know what you're
Mm,
looking for. Now it's
right.
just like, hey, hey, hey,
Look at me.
hey,
Look at
this
me. Look at
this
me.
this AirTag is following
Yeah.
you and it ain't
Yeah.
yours. What do you want to do
Yeah.
about it?
Yeah. Because again, as we mentioned before, um, AirTags were created for a specific reason. That specific reason was made known, and people have used it for nefarious reasons. And I think Apple has done, each time an issue has come up, they've gone in and tweaked and fixed it as much as they can. But there are only some things that technology can do to remedy if someone wants to do bad things with a piece of technology.
And things change. Environments change, conditions change, and Apple is just trying to roll with the
Keep up.
punches.
Yeah. Because I wonder, they had to, but maybe not. I wonder if when AirTags were created, when they were doing the product roadmap, if this thought that this could be used for stalking and tracking people, if it was ever brought up in the conversation. And it leads me to believe that that answer is no, because now from the very beginning, they've had to go in and tweak things. And it makes me think, representation matters. Who were the people in the room making those decisions? Were there any women in those rooms? Were there any vulnerable people in those rooms that could say, hey, let me raise my hand? This is great and all, and it's going to help people, keep with their keys or their luggage, but it could also be used for something not so good. And it
Hmm.
leads me to believe that those people weren't in those rooms to make those decisions. Again,
Hopefully,
matters.
hopefully, hopefully it's that. Even though that sounds terrible, what's worse is this smart company with these smart people like Apple, and nobody thought of this.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it was somebody did think of it, and it just wasn't a representation in the room, and their voices kind of got, their ideas kind of got covered up. I'd
Mhm.
rather it be we kind of knew, but we didn't care,
Mhm.
versus it's like, you know what? Apple is so smart that they can do all this stuff on your phone, but they didn't think about this. I'm like, that
Yeah.
calls into question all the other stuff that,
Yeah.
oh, how smart these people are and
Yeah.
all how revolutionary Apple is. No, I won't think about that. I'd rather it be,
Yeah.
we didn't care that much.
Either case is pretty bad, but you know, eh. Okay, we talked about the hide IP address. That's the same in iPad as it is in iOS. News articles with the weather display are the same. Participant cursors are the same in iPad. AirDrop is the same in iPad. The fixes to the notes being out of sync after an update are the same as in iOS. And finally, fixes an issue that may cause multi-touch gestures to become unresponsive while using the Zoom accessibility features. So if you've had issues with using multiple touch gestures in the zooming feature, that should be resolved as well. So I think that pretty much covers all of the big highlights of the new iPad OS and the iOS 16.2 update that was released on this past Tuesday. So we are going to leave it there for the lowdown.